is Jordyn, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than a Fit Flow class. I want to start changing up my classes maybe like once a week, especially with the live schedule coming out soon. So today I'll be taking you through a little handstand workshop. Handstands are like my favorite thing ever. I do them like all day long, and I know a lot of people have been asking me for tips and tricks. And there really is no right way to practice getting into one, for the stretches, for the activation, strengthening. There's no right way. It's just what works best for you. And so I'm going to tell you what has worked best for me in my handstand practice. And I started consistently practicing handstands probably 3 years ago. It was my freshman year at OU. I was practicing a lot. And now I'm a junior, so it's taken me 3 years to get to this point. And I'm not a master in any way, but it's taken like every day, very consistent practice. And I think that's the key for anything, but especially in something so challenging like handstands. And for me, I've tried to figure out like, why can't I do it? And for years it's taken me so long. And there's lots of tips I want to share, but the first one before we get started into stretching and activating is the 3 parts that have worked for me to strengthen and stretch out, and that is my wrists, my abs, and my shoulders. So those are the 3 things I really work on when doing handstands. And even when like during the pose, that's what I think about, nothing else. And so I'm going to be taking you through a few little exercises today. The first few are going to be stretching, and then the next few are going to be activating all those areas. And then we'll get into the pose, and I'll tell you some more tricks. And I also have socks on because for one of the exercises, but I recommend doing this on a hard floor if you have it. And if you have fuzzy socks, that would work great. Or if you have like a towel or paper plates, that also works, because we'll be doing some handstand pikes. So we'll get started today in a tabletop position, and we're going to first stretch out the wrists. So flipping the palms so the fingers face towards you, and start to rock back and forth, opening up the wrists. And the further you take those hips back, the deeper the stretch you'll feel. And these, whatever I tell you, is great to do before a handstand, to like warm up, or also to just strengthen and build some muscle for your handstand. And now take the fingers out to the side and shift left and right. Now bring the top of the hands down to the mat so the palms are facing up, and now rock back and forth like this. I've realized that if I don't stretch out my wrists before, they get very angry very fast, and then that just doesn't make for a successful handstand. Whatever, that doesn't mean like holding it forever. Basically means like with no pain. So really important to stretch out the wrist before you start. Now bring the palms down, planted on the mat. And now we'll stretch out those shoulders. Inhale that right arm up and open towards the sky. And exhale as you thread the needle, wrapping the right arm under the left arm, resting onto the shoulder. And for a deeper stretch, you can walk the left fingers out in front of you, or take a half bind behind the low back. Plant the left palm down, reach the right arm high, and exhale back to tabletop. Inhale, left arm rises. Exhale, threading the needle coming onto that left shoulder. right palm plants. Inhale that left arm high. And exhale, place it back down. Now you might want to walk your knees back just a bit so you have more length in the front of your mat. And keeping the hips on top of the knees, we'll start to walk those hands out into puppy dog pose. Opening up the abdomen, the upper back. You can drop the chin, the forehead, the chest down to the mat. Start to walk the hands back up into tabletop. And now we'll come into some more activation type things, and it'll be a little more work, so this could also be a little ab workout for you, because the ab is the key to holding handstands. So we'll set those hips back into high plank. And then we'll just start to shift back and forth. And noticing the weight transfer from your wrists out to your fingertips. As you shift back and forth. Just noticing all different corners and creases in your hands pressing to the mat. Just being very familiar of the foundation of your hands is so helpful. And I have another little tip that I'll share when we get into the actual handstands about what to do with your fingers when you're starting. Just take a couple more shifts back and forth. This literally does everything, like in one little motion. It's opening the wrists more, strengthening the wrists, the shoulders, the abs. And now drop the knees to the mat, shake out those wrists. And this is something I do after every handstand. That wasn't a handstand, but after every handstand, I shake out my wrists every time. We'll come back into that high plank. And bring the feet about mat width distance to give you a little more stability. And then we'll start to take some shoulder taps. So taking this right hand to the right shoulder, left hand to the right shoulder. And we'll stay for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees to the mat. And if you want to continue to exercise a little bit longer on your own, you can pause the video and keep doing it. But this is more just to show you what I do. You can make this an hour if you wanted to. But now we'll come into some donkey kicks. So I'll show you what it looks like. We'll have the palms planted. And we'll press those hips back. So starting in this, it's like a down dog. But then you start to bend the knees and look forward. And then transferring the weight into your hands. You'll jump and kick those heels towards the glute. Trying to bring the shoulders on top of the wrists. And when you're doing these, keeping the gaze at one point and not moving it. So for me, that's basically in between my thumbs. And in this too, still noticing all parts of the hand rooted into the mat, shifting some weight, noticing the transfer of it. And we'll take About 5 more. Now drop the knees down, shake out those wrists. And now, if you're on your mat, you might want to roll it up or just come off the side. Yeah, just come off the side so you can turn it up. You just won't be able to see me. Actually, my mat hands are a little sweaty. We'll come into those handstand heights. So keeping the palms rooted into the mat or the ground and into a high plank. That's our starting position. And then transferring the weight once again into our wrists, sliding those feet up towards the backs of our hands. And then start to slide the feet back. And it depends on what you have under your feet. Might be a little easier to slide back. And again here, really focusing on bringing the shoulders on top of those wrists. I know it can seem very scary. You guys can keep doing those while I'm talking. But I know it seems scary, but it'll just strengthen the shoulders that much more. And you might not get it right away, but after that repetitive motion of shoulders over wrists, and especially like at this point, like with your hips almost over your shoulders too, you'll gain so much strength, and then one day you'll be like, oh my gosh. It's like a really good feeling. We'll take 3 more. And now coming back to your mat, if you hold it up, feel free to do those longer. I love that exercise, even for just strengthening the core. And I do that in my Fit Flow class sometimes if we have time. And the slide is if we have room when I teach at OU. Coming back onto your mat. So this is the way I learned to kick up into a handstand, and that's just like kicking up. But for this, when we kick up, we'll switch our legs in the air, and then drop back down, and then kick up with the other leg, switch in the air, and then drop back down. It sounds a little confusing, but I'll show you what it looks like. So starting once again in that down dog position. And then raising that left heel up towards the sky, and then kicking up, switching out, then left leg finds the mat. This time starting with the right heel, kicking the right heel up, switching it out, right heel finds the mat. And one side definitely will feel better than the other, and that's okay. And maybe you don't know what side to kick up, or you don't know what side is stronger when you kick up. So this would be a great time to figure it out. And then whatever side is stronger, focus on doing that when you're beginning. And I'm going to keep reminding you, taking that gaze just to one spot. For me, it's best right in between the thumbs. But when you come into I know a lot of gymnasts, I think, suggest, like from ones that I've talked to, suggest taking your head behind and looking straight back. And I feel like it's very advanced. I don't really practice that yet because I'm still getting it down, but not looking out front like this and jerking your neck, but just taking it right down, wherever your neck feels most relaxed to start. And then you can play around when you have found that great balance with bringing the ears up against the arms. Coming back into those kicks. We'll take one more each side. And then take it down to your knees. Roll out the wrists. And now you can just practice getting up into a handstand through those kick-ups. So before getting into this, one thing that I have found that is very helpful for grounding into my palms or in a handstand, and to transfer that weight, like when you're finding your balance, it's a lot easier to transfer back and forth if you have a slight bend in your fingers. So I don't know if you can see, I'll try to do this on my arm. My palms will be flat and then my fingers will have a little catch in them. So it makes it easier if you like start to fall forward, pressing into the fingertips instead of like the flatness of the fingers. So try that out to start. And I think I still do that, and it's probably not the best, but it just would help me, again, with like just noticing the transfer of the weight, shifting back and forth. And then what else? Just bringing the shoulders on top of the wrists, very important. And also engaging the abs. Big, big thing here. Squeezing in that low belly. I had no idea, like I thought I was doing it for the longest time, but I really don't think I was. And that just takes time and practicing and gaining strength in the core. And then also engaging the glute, really engaging everything. And also not sinking down into your shoulders, pressing up out of them. So not like this, but like this. And you can even feel that in your low belly. When you press up, you can feel the low belly engage and pull in even more. So just playing around with some handstands now, kicking up. We'll start with those kick-ups. Whatever side you felt was strongest, start with that. So for me, it's my left side when I kick up. So engaging the low belly. It helps me to bend one of my legs to keep the balance to start. It helps transfer the weight just a bit. And even, I think the last handstand I learned was both legs straight up. That's the hardest. So if you want to transfer the weight a little bit more, it's like open up the legs or have one leg bent. That just makes it a little bit easier instead of one straight line at the beginning. So legs, scissor kind of like that. Ooh. Or one leg bent. Pressing up out of the shoulders. Bringing that low belly in, taking the gaze right off the bridge of your nose. Oh. So you can pause the video and play around a little more. But now we'll come into some stretches, very important. The first stretch I have written down is roll wrists. We've been doing that the entire time. But it's so important to after you do after a certain exercise, roll the wrists out in both directions. Now we'll come onto our bellies into a Sphinx pose. So bringing elbows underneath the shoulders, tops of the feet are rooted down. Stretching out the core, drawing those shoulders down, opening up the heart. And you can stay here, or for a deeper stretch, straightening the arms into seal. Now lower the elbows back down. This is one of my favorite shoulder stretches, especially for handstands, after working the shoulders. So bringing that right arm underneath the view, and then left arm crosses on top. So arms will be like out to T, but they're crossed at the shoulders. And then resting the chin down. You should feel this in both shoulders, no matter what shoulder's on top. Now uncross the arms and switch it out. Right arm on top, dropping chin down towards the mat. And cross the arms and press up. I have a couple more tips that I want to share. Some that might not be super obvious to people, but have helped me the most in my handstand practice. And the first one, a couple different types of like yoga practices. So the first one is meditating. I know you're like, how does that relate? And it really has nothing to do with strength, but more focus. And I think that was one of the biggest things for me, was losing my focus in a handstand. But after I started meditating, this clicked. I don't know when, but I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's what did it. And I started meditating on a regular basis, and it has helped my focus so much with everything. And so this is also just to tell you to like meditate. I like to do it in the morning when I wake up. And it's just increased my focus, my energy throughout my days, making it easier to concentrate in class, be present with people, but also focused in a handstand. Like when I'm looking down at my hands, it's made it so much easier to just focus and not like minimize the distractions, and it's helped me a lot. So biggest tip I think for the focus part of handstands, which is just as important as the strength part. And the slight bend of fingers, like I said, like this on a hard floor makes it a lot easier. And then also another type of yoga that has really helped, and this isn't like promoting my class or anything, because this is before I started teaching Fit Flow, but Fit Flow has helped me tremendously with the strength portion of the handstands. And I took my first Fit Flow class a couple years ago, and ever since then I've gained a lot of strength just from like yoga in general. It's just such a great strengthening, full body type of deal, but then you add these weights into it and it just makes it so much harder. And you notice a lot of things, and I'm sure people could back me up on that they've gained a lot of strength from Fit Flow, either people at Go Yoga or people that I teach to at OU. So this class has helped me a lot with my strength. So 2 classes, 2 types of things I'd recommend. Fit Flow, if you haven't tried it, they're on my channel too. And then meditating. And I think I'm actually gonna put out a meditation, one that I usually do in the mornings on my YouTube channel. So hopefully with these 3 classes, the Fit Flow, the meditation, and this handstand little workshop, it will be like a full experience. The strengthening, the mind, the focusing, and then the mind-body connection, and then it'll just be like a full circle. And then you'll see like a big difference if you're working on the mental aspects of meditation, or if you're working on strength, or if you're working on your handstands. I think those 3 tie in perfectly together. But thank you so much for watching this handstand video, and I think this is the perfect time to try out handstands while we're at home, and we have a lot of free time, especially if you have big open spaces. My personal favorite is in my kitchen over there, but I thought this looked a little better. I didn't want to do it in my room because it is carpet, and that carpet makes it a lot harder. So maybe if you like want to start out on carpet to make it easier going into hard floor, try it out. But with that, thank you so much for watching today's video, and let me know if you have any other little pose labs, like forearm stands, bird of paradise are some of my favorites. And if you're interested in what those look like, you can look them up, and then you can let me know if you want me to teach you. Have a good day.